Skills on the platform. Back at you with another one. What's up, YouTube? Today's lesson is going to be on beware of fragile egos. The law of envy. Now, what is a fragile ego? It's the lesson today. Beware of fragile egos. Fragile egos refers to one's belief in one's own value. And someone with a fragile ego lacks self-worth and confidence. A person with a fragile ego is readily swayed by others' perception. Let's kind of work on that for a little bit before we move forward. So let's read that again for some clarity. What is a fragile ego? It refers to one's belief in one's own value, and someone with a fragile ego lacks self-worth and confidence. So let's roll over that a little bit. So we know that the one with a fragile ego, okay, lacks self-worth and confidence. People tend to put out a certain confidence about themselves. People tend to portray themselves in a certain light, especially when they're around others. Okay? As an example, you have, and I've seen this a lot growing up. You have people who would work a job all week, right? They would take their check, they would go shopping, maybe buy an outfit or two, get some shoes, get their hair done, things of that nature. Fellas go get a haircut, go get an outfit, and then they would turn around and, go out to the club. A little parched there. Then they turn around and go out to the club, right? When they go to the club, they're paying to get in. Typically, women don't pay to get in, depending, their aesthetic. If they look a certain way, they may not have to pay to get in, right? So then, of course, when they get into the club, they're buying drinks. Some women don't pay for their own drinks. They're able to sucker some fool into buying them some drinks for that night. But nonetheless, they're paying for drinks. Then after the night out, they may go get something to eat. After that, typically the average folk makes probably, a few $100s a week, and they tend to blow it in a weekend. So now, Friday they're happy, excited, because they're able to go out and meet, talk to people, and socialize with other people. They wake up the next day, they tend to maybe have, depending, on people who have earned a little bit more, may have some left over, while others, are pretty much dang near flat. By the time Sunday hits, they broke. They have no money. So they go to work Monday morning, miserable all week, till Friday comes back around again. Right? So these people tend to have, like it says, they lack self-worth and confidence. Now, if someone's confident, it's not something that you're confident 1, 2, 3 days out of the week. If you're confident, period. You don't have, it isn't something that you turn on and off, or you feel confident one day and you don't feel confident the other. It's typically something that's consistent in you. It's something that's bred into your mind, like this person is confident and they really are, based upon there's a lot of factors involved when it comes down to being confident. Okay? But we're talking about beware of fragile egos. That's today's topic. So we talk about that these individuals who have fragile egos lack that self-confidence. Now, my mind, I've always thought, when I, just want to kind of throw this in there real quick, but when I was growing up, and my mindset was, I don't want to just go to work all week and then, go get an outfit and, you know, and blow it all by the time Sunday hits, and I'm just miserable all week with no money in my pocket going to work. Like, that's, who wants to really live like that? But people still do it. Like, I used to see people do that like 20 years ago when I was in my 20s. People used to do that, and I'm like, today people are still doing that foolishness. But the scriptures also does say there's nothing new under the sun, so everything tends to repeat itself. But then if you think about it, that's a generational curse. But we're not going to get into that. It's not what we're talking about. But in my mind, I was always like, I'll go to work and stack up like a few $1,000s. So that way, and I just won't even go out. I'll stack up a few $1,000s. So that way, when I go to the club, I can go ahead and spend $200-300 to go sit in the VIP section. Then I can spend maybe another $200 and go get me a whole bottle. So, you know what I mean? In my mindset, I'm like, I'm gonna go sit in VIP, so I'll spend maybe $500-600 and I'll get a nice little VIP section in one of these exclusive nightclubs in any state I may be in at the time. And get a bottle and just sit down and post up with maybe me, a couple of my fellas. You know what I'm saying? Or, if I'm bringing a female with me, whoever, a group of people I may roll with, it all depends. But for the most part, we chilling in VIP. We got bottles. We're not gonna go spend $9-10 on a cup, a drink that's probably watered down, not even mixed right or even made right for that matter. You know what I'm saying? Get 3-4 of those, you spend about $40-50 easy, and you probably just got a buzz. It just didn't add up to me in my mindset. So, but let's just move on. Now, they lack self-worth and confidence, right? A person with a fragile ego is readily swayed by others' perception. So it kind of ties in, because typically when I used to go to the club, I wouldn't use me as one of the examples, because I just looked at it totally different. I'm not going to the club and buying a cup. I'm not buying cups. I'm buying a bottle. That's just simple what it is. A bottle might be $200-300 in a club versus, if you go to a liquor store, you can get it for, $50-60. But we're in a club. You can't bring a bottle in the club, so you're going to have to go ahead and pay the cost. That's just what it is, right? So these people put on like they act as if they're confident, right? But they're technically really not confident. Fragile egos. Now, they're easily swayed by others. They might have a friend that call up and say, hey, let's go to the club, da 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 da, and don't really got the funds to be able to go out and enjoy themselves, but they go out, trying to get a free ride or try to get drinks off people or just try to get over, right? These people are not necessarily confident, right? Let's move on. 8 signs of someone with a huge relationship killing ego. Now, here are the 8 signs with someone that has a huge relationship killing ego. So this is what will kill relationships, any type of relationship for that matter. Okay? Now, they talk about themselves a lot. You run into people who are consistently just talking about themselves. That's one sign that you know that you're dealing with someone that has a fragile ego. They continually talk about themselves. Their ego is more interested in their own life and struggles than they are in yours. People would think that someone that talks about themselves is confident, right? But if you're confident and you know that you have something to offer, right? Would you just blurt it all out and start just talking about everything, like about what you do and what you can offer? Not necessarily. You know, that's not like healthy communication when you're just simply just talking about yourself all the time. Me, you know, what I have, what I can do. And it may not even be true. But then again, even if it is true, it's like you're trying to get someone to like you based upon what you have. Right? Think about it. Really just sit down and think about it. Like, they're seeking outside validation, outside of themselves. Because if I know I have a lot to offer, I'm not going to just blurt it all out like that. You know, it's going to be a dialogue. It's going to be a conversation between someone. You know, we'll be conversing about, you know, what we and how we can benefit one another. Right? I'm not going to just put out lay my cards out on the table. Something to think about. They protect theirs first. Now, that's kind of goes, that kind of goes to the point where people have to protect themselves, right? But then again, it's like there's a healthy thing about that, and there's an unhealthy thing about that, because if I'm protecting myself in a sense of, if someone's trying to give me some type of constructive criticism and they see something that I don't see, right? But I just completely ignore what they have to say. I'm not really listening to what that person has to say, even though they have insight or there's something they may have experienced. But I don't have I'm not humble enough to listen to what this person has to say and to take into consideration based upon their standpoint. Right? So instead of me listening, I'm trying to protect myself. I'm looking at it from my point of view and not considering someone else's point of view. Not saying that you have to take that point of view, but at least consider it. Because it can be beneficial to you. But then again, these people tend to what? They have fragile egos. Anything offends them. Even if you try to give them good advice, they'll think that, you're trying to push yourself onto them versus coming from a point with experience. Let's move on. They won't take your advice. It all ties in. So they protect theirs first, but they won't take your advice. They protect theirs first and won't take your advice. So no matter what you really say, they're right. They compare themselves in your relationships to others. How? I don't get that. How do you compare your relationship and experience with someone to someone else's relationship and their experience? Tell me if that makes sense. Aren't you two different individuals from the other individuals? Like, you're comparing, for example, your relationship with someone, and you have friends or family members who are in relationships, or typically people are trying to emulate relationships that they see on reality television, these celebrity relationships. People tend to want to compare their relationships to these individuals, right? Whereas these individuals have a certain life experience because they do certain things to be able to have that experience. So how are you going to try to compare your relationship? Let's say your partner works a regular job and you both work regular jobs. You can't compare your relationship because you and your partner have both have regular jobs, while these celebrities are in the forefront of television or movies or music videos, whatever that may be they do. But these people earn more than you. You can't compare your relationship to theirs. It's not logical. So then it goes to the point of taking you to these people have fragile egos. They lack self-worth and confidence. Right? They protect theirs first. They won't take your advice. But they'll turn around and compare themselves and your relationship to others' relationships. Like, these celebrities buy each other, expensive purses and items, clothing, jewelry, cars, homes. Whereas you work a 9 to 5 job, baby. How you think you gonna compare and compete with them? It's not gonna happen. So what's going on in that mind of yours to think that you could compare? Some's not balanced in that mind. Something's imbalanced there. There's definitely an imbalance, right? Excuse me, y'all. So there's definitely an imbalance there. There's an imbalance in that mind. But as I getting ready to close this out, you're gonna get the full understanding of where we're going with this and why these people have fragile egos, and to be able to identify these people. right? Now, let's move on. Now, we know they compare themselves and your relationships to others. They're not present. So they're consistently in a place where they're not even enjoying the moment. They tend to not enjoy the moment. They tend to always be seeking that external approval. There's a tendency to always seek that external approval. My lighting is acting up. I have to get that fixed. So they tend to continuously seek external approval. They're unbalanced. They're mentally unbalanced. They will boast. They boast. So it's like an overinflated sense of ego. So you got to think about it, right? If they boast, their ego is fragile. So they have to protect it. So it's like, I can't let nobody see me lower than what I perceive myself to be. I can't let nobody see me in a certain way. Like I have to have the best clothing. I have to be in the nicest car. I have to have a nice house. Right? I have to have this. I have to have that. Right? They have to have a certain image for the general public to see them in a certain way. So they boast to cover up the insecurities, to cover up that fragile ego that's very delicate and can be crushed if you can identify it. You can crush someone's ego if you can identify it. But there may be some consequences to that. So you got to be careful. You have to know who you're dealing with when you when you try to make an attempt like that. Because someone with a big ego, with a fragile ego, could easily be very violent and get violent. But we're gonna get there. Let's move on slowly but surely. Okay, there we go. That's better. I had to get that light charged up. I've been so busy running around. Okay. All right. So let's move on. Now, while they may not do it on purpose, a big ego means that your partner is more likely to react with anger or frustration. There it is. Even if it means taking it out on you to validate their sense of importance. So they'll take their anger and frustration out on you because you pointed out a flaw in them. You recognize something in them, but they don't want you to recognize it because they're protecting it. They're trying to cover it up. Once again, they boast. So they put out this certain type of image, like, oh, for example, a egotistical male. He may try to act like he's so super masculine and he's a tough guy and he can beat anybody up, or he's the best and this, that, and the third, right? And he may be good at acting as if that's the case. And people fall for it. Typically, naive people will fall for it because they don't know themselves. People that know themselves, that are truly confident, are not going to fall for that. They're going to be like, this guy's BSing. Spot him a mile away. Right? Then for a female, she may act in a certain way and act like, she's more than what she really is, to cover up her flaws, to cover up her insecurities. Men and women tend to do this, right? I'm giving you keys to identify these people. Identify people with fragile egos. They act like they're confident, but they're really not. We'll bring this full circle shortly. Now, while they may not do it on purpose, a big ego means that your partner is more likely to react with anger or frustration, even if it means taking it out on you to validate their sense of importance. When someone has a big ego, they must consistently feed their self-worth to keep themselves built up. Right? They consistently try to keep themselves built up. Now, if you got it like that, there's no need for you to try to front. It's not necessary. Because if you're really living like that and you're really confident, it's just going to show automatically. Like, you don't have to act a certain way or say certain things or do certain way just to sound cool, just to be confident. You'll just know. People are going to pick up on it naturally. Like, yeah, he or she's confident. They got that factor. It's not even an if or and or buts about it. People just know. Now, what do you call someone with a fragile ego? All right? We're going to bring this full circle right now and close this out. What do you call someone with a fragile ego? The stereotype of a narcissist is that they are completely self-centered and full of themselves. Although the narcissist feels superior to others, they're generally unsatisfied with themselves. So they're covering up some type of flaw, some type of insecurity that they have. Right? That's why they gotta boast. That's why they think about themselves, only consider themselves and not others. It's twisted. It's really twisted. The thought process of these people that have inflated sense of egos and self, but it's really fragile. They're trying to cover up that fragile ego. It's a twisted thing with these people's mindsets. It's very unhealthy. Now, we don't just talk about the issue at hand. We talk about solutions as well. Somebody's talking about an issue, but they don't have a solution. You need to question that. We come with solutions. We got solutions for this. Right? Let's carry on. The stereotype of a narcissist is they are completely self-centered, full of themselves, although the narcissist feels superior to others. They're generally unsatisfied with themselves. Therefore, they don't take criticism very well and get angry and upset with knockbacks. So they'll get angry and upset at you for you identifying their insecurities, that fragile ego, because you called it out. You seen it. You picked it out. Then they're not mad. They're angry at you. So in other words, you showing natural discernment, a form of intelligence, right? A form of emotional intelligence. Because it takes someone with emotional intelligence to identify people like this, to be able to identify the narcissist, to be able to identify someone with a fragile ego, trying to cover it up and seem to be one way, but really not. They tend to only trick weak-minded people like themselves. They try to find the people that lack confidence in themselves to try to pull the wool over their eyes. Now, do narcissists have fragile egos? On the other hand, vulnerable narcissists includes those with more fragile egos. Instead of trying to project it, they want to protect it. Once again, there it is. They're not trying to project it, they want to protect it. But then there has to be some type of projection to protect it, right? So they have to make it seem they're one way when in actuality they're not. We're closing this out. These are the hypersensitive people. Hypersensitive. Whoa. And then you know what? I'm gonna tell y'all a short story after this. These are the hypersensitive people you've encountered at work or in social settings who are defensive, vindictive, and when interacting with others. Now, I had an experience. I think about some, this actually happens to me a lot, right? People project onto you, right? And I knew who I was for a long time, right? Like, for instance, my sun sign is Cancer. My sun sign is Cancer. My rising sign is Aries. My moon is Virgo. And my north node is Leo. Right? So, people used to always say that I was too sensitive, or hypersensitive, or I've heard people say a lot that cancers are hypersensitive and people can't deal with them, and etc., right? And I always thought about that for a minute. I'm like, me being that I'm a intuitive, I'm a master intuitive. So that means I pick up on things that most people can't pick up on in other people. And a lot of times it's not me. I have complete and utter confidence in my abilities to accomplish anything I want in this lifetime with no hindrances. No one would stop me to accomplish what I seek out to accomplish. Of course, I'm a law abiding. I abide by the law. As long as I'm not destroying property or harming people, I'm well and within my rights to have peace and do as I please. As long as I'm not harming people or destroying property, I'm well within my right. Now, I'm not going to go into any particular details on that, but those two things. Now, people used to project their insecurities onto me. And me being an intuitive, I'm picking up on, I be wondering sometimes, why do I feel like, I be having these crazy ideas that'll pop up in my head. It's almost like a sense of insecurity, right? But I realized over the years, I've been picking up on other people's energy that I've been exposed to. I always knew since I was young I was gonna do things that most people are not probably gonna do or willing to do or wanting to do for that matter. So people would always try to put me in a box. People would always try to hold me back and tell you, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that, or no, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, no, that's not gonna work. I'd come up with a great idea. I try to share it with people, friends, family members. I try to share something with them, and it's like, oh, nah, that's not gonna work. You need to just go get a job. They project their beliefs onto me, and I kind of fell for some years. I thought about it like, okay, maybe they're right. You know what I'm saying? I've always been that person to try to do something more than what was going on at the time. With anyone who probably know me or who may end up seeing this in the future, that say this and say, oh, I know him, right? That knew me and actually had to sit down and have conversations with me. I've always been that type to be like, yo, let's start a business together. Even if I worked in a job somewhere, listen, hey, when we get our paychecks, let's everybody chip in. Let's open up a bank account. Let's go set up an LLC. We can go get a bank account, put all our names on the bank account. Let's get out there. Let's put our heads together and let's go out there and make something happen. I know many people had their own ideas of what they wanted to do in their life, right? And I respect that. But I always said to myself, why not us come together and use our heads to generate some income, and once we're able to make maybe a few 100,000 or a few million, depending on how successful the idea was, we can go out there and separate and do our own thing, and always come back later on with another great idea and make millions. Isn't that what Caucasians do? Isn't that what other groups of people do? But nah, they never wanted to do that. So now I started to realize it wasn't me. It was them the whole time. They didn't want to collaborate because they lacked confidence in themselves. I was always confident. Even as a big guy. Heavy set, whatever you want to call it, my confidence through the roof. I wasn't, man, what? That don't mean nothing. Man, I get whatever I want whenever I want. I bag a pretty female any day of the week. Man, what? Nothing. Get it done. I do it. I always had that in me. Right? But then I started to realize people was projecting themselves on me. And now I'm seeing that now, even when I'm going through this quick lesson with you guys now. I'm seeing it now, even more than ever. I was surrounded by the wrong people. And I was surrounded by the wrong people for a long time. My own family tried to hold me back because even when I said these things and tried to share these ideas with them, let's go do some real estate together. Nah, you can't make no money in real estate. The real estate market is dead. The news said that. Oh. The news told you the real estate market is dead. The news. Come on now. We know the news tells lies all the time. They would tell you that it's not booming because they don't want your silly behind to get involved because they know you're going to get rich. They don't want you to get rich. They don't want us to get rich. So it was that lack of confidence in these people that I encountered on a consistent basis. Now I see. Let's move on. How do you fix a fragile ego? I'm going to wrap this up right now after this. We told you we come with solutions. When we come with issues, we talk about issues, we come with solutions every single time. We have solutions for it. How do you fix a fragile ego? Here are my 5 techniques to learn to let go of your ego. and enjoy life. Number one, practice forgiveness and letting go. The weak can never forgive. If you're weak, you can't forgive no one because you're weak. That fragile ego trying to cover it up. You're trying to cover your weakness up. Just like those people trying to cover up their weakness every time I try to share a great idea with them. You know how I know it was great? Because I'm doing it now without them. The weak people can't forgive. Practice forgiveness and letting go. Now, like I said, my sun sign is a Cancer, the crab, right? And people think of a crab who tries to hold on to things. But in astrology, the crab is more of a, they feel. I'm not going to get into that lesson right now. That's for a whole nother video. But the crab feels. So I was feeling and picking up on other people's energy. That's why I can't be around certain people. If you're negative, I'm gonna start having crazy and wild thoughts. If you're crazy, you're wild, and you're out of order, I'm gonna start having these kind of thoughts of destruction, maybe in a sense. Right? If someone is highly sexually charged and I'm around that person, I might start getting aroused, like out of nowhere. I'll get aroused. Like, what's going on? I'm picking up on their energy. I'm sensitive when it comes down to picking up on other. It's not that I'm sensitive, because I can be an a-hole. I'm not gonna lie. I can. But then again, I could be the kindest person in the world. Everybody has that trait, to be kind or evil, or to be nice or mean. But I'm naturally a kind person. Kind and confident. Optimistic about life. Right? So you have to learn how to practice forgiveness. Someone does you wrong or perceived to be wrong, that's just your cue for you to get away from them, because they're going to be who they are. So you need to practice forgiveness. That's one. Two, practice honesty and being open. What are you trying to lie about? Who are you trying to impress? Why are you seeking outside validation from outside of yourself? Once again, if you are practicing honesty and being open. For instance, I couldn't get on here and do this video to talk to you guys if I wasn't being open. Practicing honesty. Why are you trying to perceive yourself to be something when you're actually not? I've been in sales for 17 years. No one's been in sales or does something for that long who's not confident. Practice honesty. Stop trying to front. Stop trying to act like to be something that you're really not. Because you're only harming yourself. Because now you got to follow up and keep up with a lie and keep up with that last lie you might have forgot. You smoke so much, you drink, you do all kinds of possible drugs and, practice recreational drugs. And you just forgot what you said last week. Then somebody doubles back like, wait a minute, hold on, I thought you said this. I don't know. And then people be knowing like, oh, they be lying. Like, oh, such and such be lying all the time. Nah, they don't take you seriously no more. They're like, you a joke. They know you a joke. And it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out. It's gonna show. So don't try to put on the front. You know, just recently, you know, I was able to get a lot done. 8 months ago, I was not in the place that I am now. I wasn't in a good spot 8 months ago from versus now. But I was able to get a lot done in a short period of time. It's because of my experience over the years. I was able to do that. But this was years of experience that I already have, that I was able to apply in a short period of time to get me in a position. Not everybody could do that. And I'm at an age where I'm earning more than I ever did in my life because of my experience. A lot of people can't do what I do is because I have the experience. And that's the only difference. I'm not better than you. I don't consider myself better than anyone. It's just I have a certain level of experience to be able to do more than a lot of people, and what a lot of people can't do. Does it make me better? No. Just more experience. That's all. Now, that's 2. Practice honesty, being open. Number 3, surrender your need for control. That's a big one. People are control freaks out here. You want to try to control this person, that person, and you can't even control yourself. You lack control, self-control. How can you control yourself and you're going to try to control others? It's backwards. It's unbalanced. You can't control yourself. You definitely can't control someone else. Forget about that. Just throw in the towel on that. Stop trying to control others. Control yourself first. Then maybe you will have a chance to control someone else. You may think you have control over someone, but it's like that Smokey thing. Yeah, I'll be listening to what they be saying, but when he leave, I'll be talking again. I'll be listening. But when they leave, I'll be talking again, right? Yeah, it's just like that. You can't control nothing. You don't have no control over yourself. So stop trying to control others. Give it up. That's number 3. Number 4, enjoy silent moments with yourself. If you can't sit down with yourself and your own thoughts for an hour or 2, or even for a matter for a day, you need to get some help. You need help, baby. You need help, homeboy. If you can't spend time by yourself, that means you don't have nothing. You don't have no substance where you can't sit down and meditate. I love sitting down by myself in peace and quiet and nothing and just listening. Hearing for that voice to give me instructions on the next thing to do. Now it's like that angel and devil though, right? I might get a voice that say, just kill them all. Or then I might get a voice that say, you can't kill them all. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. They're not worth it. You have too much to live for. Then it's like, yeah. It's like, that common sense kick in, but common sense is not so common, right? But that common sense kick in, you thinking like, oh no, I'm finna do that. That ain't gonna make no sense. Even though I could, but it doesn't make any sense. So because you can do something, that don't mean you should. Once again, as long as you're not damaging property or harming people, you are within the law. You're right. And there's several ways you can harm people, and there's several ways you can damage property. Don't do it. Simple. Now let's move on. Enjoy silent moments with yourself. Meditate. Learn to meditate. Just be by yourself. You don't have to always be with somebody. You don't always have to be in a relationship. It's healthy to sometimes be by yourself. and know you. Because if you don't know yourself, you fresh out of luck. Because you don't know yourself, that means somebody's controlling you. You think you're controlling somebody else, but somebody's controlling you. That's number 3, but we're on 4 now. The need for control. Surrender your need for control. That's number 3. Control yourself, right? Enjoy that silent moment with yourself. Number 4. Number 5, practice gratitude. Be grateful. You know how the quickest way you can manifest things in your life is by being grateful. Somebody give you $5 and you know you needed 10. Be grateful that somebody gave you 5. Don't be like, oh, I still need $5 though. Ungrateful bastard. You halfway there. Instead of thinking about it, oh, okay, I'm halfway there. Oh, I'm thankful. If you're thankful enough, you'll probably get another. The person might who gave you the 5 might give you another 5 because they're like, oh man, because they see your positive energy. You know, oh man, thanks man. I needed that $5. Whoo, I'm halfway there. They might have the back of their mind be like, you know what? I'm about to go run to the bank anyway. I need to go get some money. I'll go get you the other 5. Boom. Because you was being grateful. But now if you give somebody 5, right? And then you turn around and give them an attitude, you be like, man, I still need to get $5 more. They might look at you like, whatever. Figure it out yourself. And they might not even want to do nothing for you because they see how ungrateful you was because they just gave you $5. You ungrateful bastard. So be grateful. So those are the 5 ways and techniques you can learn on how to fix your fragile ego. Now, I'm going to finish off with this. Wrap this up. If you stand for nothing, you will fall for anything. That's it, people. Thanks, YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification so you can get future videos like this. People, my goal in the next 6 months is to reach 50,000 subscribers. Help a brother out. Subscribe. Also, for those that who do have fragile egos, and you know you do, and you want to make a change, get yourself a numerology report. The numerology report will give you a better understanding of who you are. Because if you don't know yourself, once again, someone is controlling you. You like control so much. You need to get yourself a numerology report so you can know yourself, so that way you can have control over yourself, for one. And then maybe you'll have an attempt to possibly control someone else. I don't suggest and recommend you use it in that nature, but you know yourself, you're able to get more done instead of having to worry about what other people got going on. Know your numbers, know who you are, so that way you can move forward in life doing better and be able to get more. Everybody wants more in their life. No one wants less. Everyone wants more. Learn yourself and you can get more. Get yourself a numerology report. My email's in the description. Peace, YouTube.